So welcome everyone to this Women in Network Science seminar. We are very happy to see so many of you here and super excited of what we are going to be talking about after this presentation. So first, we would like to have a presentation, a short one, about what is Women in Network Science, what is happening with Women in Network Science. And for that, it's my great honor to present you Alice, who is actually the current president of Women in Network Science, and she will be telling us a little bit about that. So if you can just bear with me. Here it is. So Alice, I give you the microphone.
Okay, thank you so much, Francisca. Hi, everyone. I am so thrilled to see so many people on the call today and to talk to you today. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, especially to Francisca, Echo, and Elena, who have done an amazing job to keep the seminar going, and in my view, improve it a lot from what it has originally been, now that I'm currently on maternity leave. But I'm very happy to be here today and to talk to you. And so I want to start first by just talking a bit about what Women in Network Science is, because maybe some people have heard of it, maybe some people are members, or maybe some people have not. And let's start with that. Next slide. So Women in Network Science has a website, and the link is somewhere in the slides. Maybe Francisca can add a link to the chat as well. And if you go onto that website, one of the things that you find is our mission statement. This was in the works for a longer period of time because we wanted to have something that to kind of understand what we want to achieve as a society and how we're trying to be inclusive to various groups. I think that the general idea is, so Women in Network Science has been around for a few years. I got to know of the society in 2018 and got involved formally in around 2020. But the society has been around a bit longer than that. And the kind of sparking idea was that there are problems or challenges for young academics in network science that are specific to women, and that it would be helpful for women to have a place where they can connect and where they can support each other and maybe talk about problems, maybe talk about their successes too. And so that is how it started. And I think to kind of formally say what we want to achieve as a society, it is fostering opportunities for education, employment, and career advancement for women, trans and non-binary genders in network science. And we have several things that we do to achieve these goals. And so on one hand, we want to increase the presence and visibility of women, trans and non-binary genders in network science. We do that, for example, through hosting sessions at conferences or hosting the Women in Network Science seminar to give the stage to people in our field who identify as women or non-binary or trans. And we do that too in trying to promote collaborative learning and networking. So for example, earlier this year, we had a Women in Network Science collaborathon bringing together women from all over the world to work together on topics in network science that they are interested in. Which was a lot of fun. And we're also encouraging research and discussion on gender representation that happens, for example, at panel discussions at conferences. That can also happen in places like this at the seminar when, for example, one of the reasons that we usually opt for having the Q&As off the record, so off the recording, to just speak candidly about the experiences that both speakers in the seminar as well as members of the audience have had. Next slide. So if you want to find out more about who women in network science are. One way to do that is to browse the website, and on the website you will find a membership list. If you want to be on that list and you're not currently a member, the way to do it is to sign up for membership. Membership is free, and to tick that box that says that you're okay to be listed on the membership list. So as a disclaimer, currently there are a lot of people who are, for various reasons, not listed on the membership list, either because they haven't given their consent to it, they signed up to be members before we actually had instated that membership list. I think that even includes myself. So if you search for my name on that list, you won't find it. But we're working on that, and there's a growing community of several hundred women who all signed up to be members, to be mentors and mentees, and to take part in conference activities and seminars. And you can see if there are people who might be interested in the same research topics, or are from the same area as yourself. So for example, if you go into the next slide, you could go and search for a place. You could search, for example, for Amherst and see if we have members from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst, and you see that there are results popping up. So for example, these are all voluntary information that people have given when they signed up for being a member. So you can add research keywords, you can add your current affiliation and some links that you want people to see. One of the ways that the membership list on the website is used, for example, so everyone can go in there and search that list. So like if you do sign up to be on that list, make sure that you're like okay with having all the information that you see here, like your research keywords, that you've add them in a way that you're comfortable showing them to the world. And we have people using that membership list, for example, if they are interested in finding out who are women who do cool research in a specific subcategory of network science. So for example, here we see that Hannah Rosenbaum is doing research on political networks and economic and financial networks, for example. So you can add keywords like that about yourself, and then when people are looking to connect specifically with women or non-binary people who work on a specific field, like say political networks, that's a way that they can find you that way. Let's go to the next slide. So again, to join the society, you can find the link on the website to an application form where you can sign up to become a member of the society. With an email, your sign-up options to sign up as a member or as an ally. We have several people who do not identify as being a woman or non-binary or trans, who are still members of the society because they want to support our mission. Everybody who wants to see women in network science succeed is very welcome to join the society and help us make that happen. So you can sign up, get all your friends to sign up. Not being a woman is not an excuse to not be a member of Women in Network Science. Next slide. So I've been talking a bit about the membership. There are some faces that you might see more often than others when you attend these events. And that is because we have some people who are very active in organizing stuff. And I want to talk briefly about who's organizing stuff, how you can get involved with organizing stuff. So we have the society, and obviously like the biggest group of people that we have is our membership. Then we have a leadership of our group, which consists of the executive committee and the advisory board. And the executive committee, that's people like me and Francisca. So if you go on to the next slide, and actually see some of the current members of our executive committee, we got elected into our positions. We have a loose structure of responsibilities. I'm currently the president. We have several vice presidents with different areas of responsibilities, like communication or the treasury. We have other members who are on the executive committee and who kind of have some area of expertise or like some project that they really focus on. So in a bit, Francisca is also going to tell you a bit about herself, and we're going to learn about some activities that are currently going on. So mostly what unites everybody that you see on the slide is that we felt like we wanted to build that community, we wanted to contribute in a way, and everybody came in with different ideas, and that is how we have been able to have that wide portfolio of different things that we're doing as a society. So if you go to the next slide, you see, for example, that Anna Giamarino, who's one of the members of our society, is also very engaged in networked inequality, and she's been one of the organizers of the parenting in network science initiative that you might have come across at NetSci this year if you went to the conference in Vienna. Now, if we go to the next slide, the other part of the leadership that we have is the advisory board, which is kind of our connection to tap into into the wider network of expertise and influence that we have. So there's a bunch of people who are very keen to support women in network science and the mission, but perhaps because of a more senior career stage, it turns out that as you progress along your career, time gets more scarce, and we have a lot of people who are very interested in being engaged with what women in network science does, but perhaps more on a level where they support rather than organize events. And so the advisory board is a group of people who are very supportive of what women in network science does and who regularly help us out with their expertise, their connections, their advice. And these are, I think, a group of, I want to say, over 30 women at the moment who are all in professor positions at various institutions and work in the field of network science or related. And here's just 3 examples of members of the advisory board. Brooke Foucault-Wells was Women in Networks, the first president of Women in Network Science, is currently the head of the advisory board. Kate Karongas and Anne McCraney, who are very involved with the activity at the Network Science Institute in Boston and the annual NetSci conference, respectively, are also on the advisory board. And we have exchanges with them regularly about what women in network science can do at the conferences or in collaboration with the Network Science Institute and so on. So yeah, you can look at all these people online. Now, if we go to the next slide, just to kind of explain how things happen at Women in Network Science, it's we have that structure, but really things, when they happen because people really want to see them happen. And so just to give you an example, it doesn't, even though we have the leadership structure, it doesn't mean that the executive committee does its thing or the advisory board does its thing. It really means that we come together as volunteers who are compelled to do something. So this is just an example of how we were organizing the collaborathon in Boston earlier this year. That was an idea that came up because I went to a different collaborathon that was not a Women in Network Science collaborathon and was more male dominated. And I thought it would be nice to have something like that within the Women in Network Science community, to kind of create a space where people can collaborate and not kind of worry about being the underrepresented gender in that community. So I talked to Brooke about it, who knows a lot more about where to get funding for things like that than I do, and helped me figure out how to get the funding for that. And then Shay, who is the third person in the pictures over here, is a member of Women in Network Science that I know knows a lot about machine learning, and we wanted to have a machine learning tutorial at the Women in Network Science Collaborathon. So the three of us essentially came together as the starting group to make that happen, and obviously along the lines got more people on board. So the story that I want to tell here really is that we have a lot of things going on at Women in Network Science. We know that there could be more, and that there's a lot of things that are not happening right now. And there are things that maybe nobody on the executive committee or advisory board is thinking about. But this is really, if you want to be a member of this community, you can become one, and you can make this community your own community. If there is something that you think would be really great if Women in Network Science does that, the way to make that happen is to take that initiative, and that is very much encouraged. So if there's something where you go onto the website, or you've seen me talk about it, and you're like, okay, you're doing all of these things, but you know what you should really do, what would really, I think, be a nice thing to do for the members of the society is some activity that we haven't thought about yet, then get in touch with members of the leadership, tell them your ideas, and together we can make them happen. So that is the story that I want to tell here. A lot of things kind of are very grassrootsy, and we'll see some more examples about of that as the presentation progresses. Next slide. So some examples of what we're doing and we've been doing in the past is, obviously, we have the Women in Network Science seminar. We have writing groups that are online writing groups for people to come together and write whatever they need to write. We have graduate student workshops. At least for a while, they've been running, and I think you can see previous installation of that still online. These are workshops from graduate students, for graduate students, and everyone else. Network science is a very interdisciplinary area, so you get into that and you realize there's a bunch of things that I know a lot better than everybody else around me, but there are also things that everybody, like other people around me, know a lot better than I do, and we're all here to learn from each other. And so those graduate student workshops were one opportunity to make that happen on a junior level, and make it possible for people to learn from each other, and to perhaps feel not that intimidated in that setup of learning kind of horizontally from your peers, rather than in a lecture setting or something like that. On and off, we have a Women in Network Science book club, which is a cozy little Zoom meeting where we come together to discuss books that we decide to read together over a period of time. I've participated in that, and it's been a great experience to kind of just have that community, to rant about things that happened over the last few weeks in my life. We've all had our experiences with where being the underrepresented gender can be frustrating. In those book clubs, the theme was kind of a mix of books about network science, or books about gender roles in academia, or feminism per se. I learned a lot through that, including things like gender inequality in bathroom architecture and whatnot. So it's been a very enriching experience for me, and I hope that it can be a very enriching experience for other people in the future too. If we go to the next slide, I just want to point out that all of these things, you can participate in many ways. If you've seen that and you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, but I don't know if I really want to do it, or if I have the time for that. So just to point out, you can always, a lot of the events are online, so we can't stop you from dropping out of a Zoom call if you get in and after 5 minutes realize you don't want to do that. That is completely fine. Signing up to be a member or an ally is completely free and doesn't commit you to do anything. So you can do that today. And if you decide that this is not for you, you don't ever have to actively participate in any of the events if you don't like to. But of course, we hope that people like what and find it useful what we're offering here. So we hope that the seminar series is going to be enjoyable and enlightening to people on this call and over the coming weeks. We hope that you find useful information on our website. We are somewhat present on social media. I'm going to say we used to have a really strong Twitter game and still have, except that platform is having like questionable changes happening over the last few months and so on. So we'll see how that goes in the future, but you can connect with the Women in Network Science Society on Twitter. We have an email list as well, and we're trying to use both of those resources to promote work by women in network science, which can mean your work. So for example, if you have a Twitter account that you use for promoting yourself and your research and you have a new paper coming out, feel free to just post about that and tag the Women in Network Science Society account, or send a message asking for a retweet or repost or whatnot. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll be present on other platforms too, that be able to promote women on those platforms as well. Yeah, if we go on to the next slide, just want to say something about the most fun bit, I think, is actually meeting people through the society. So we're having all of this, oh, you can find things online and yada yada, but like really it's all about building a community. And it's like the most fun bit is always when we bring a bunch of people together. And I think that first started with a conference meetup at Complenet in 2018. And if you go on to the next slide, there's been a lot of subsequent events organized. Women in Network Science at NetSci in Boston. I'm thinking of whether I was at that one. We were at Sunbelt, at Complenet and NetSci for several years. So if you go to a conference with like a bunch of where network science is present, it's worth looking up whether Women in Network Science is organizing a meetup at those conferences. I think one of the most recent ones was here at EUSN in 2022. And then we had this year at NetSci, a poster session and a meetup, and that was also really fun. So if you go to a conference with a bunch of network science happening, check out whether Women in Network Science is there and come say hi at the events, or say sign up for a talks or a poster session. These are usually really fun. I think nobody has so far, at least to my knowledge, ever regretted showing up or signing up for something like that. What makes me committed to this community after having been involved with it for so many years is that there is something about bringing members of this community together in a room that creates such an encouraging and positive space, and a feeling that is so valuable that I didn't know was possible before becoming a member. And so if you have the chance to be part of that, just come say hi. Sometimes we have snacks, sometimes we don't, but just come and enjoy the vibes with other women in network science. So these are conference meetups. We try to make a lot of them happen at various conferences. If you go to a conference where you think there's a lot of women in network science going to be there, but it seems that Women in Network Science is not organizing a meetup there, that would also be a great way to get involved and let members of the leadership know that, hey, there's a conference where there's going to be a lot of women in network science, but it doesn't seem that the society is organizing anything there. Can we make a meetup happen? And then presumably, especially if nobody from the leadership is going themselves, that would entail that we're going to ask you whether you want to be the person organizing that meetup. But obviously we're here to support and promote and everything. And yeah, I would encourage that. It's been fun for everyone involved. We've had really great experiences with having these meetups happen. But those are not the only thing, and I do want to stop talking about my own perspective and hand this over to Francisca, who I think can introduce herself and some of the things that are important to her as well. Yeah, thank you all for listening to me so far.
Thank you, Alice. So currently I'm doing my postdoc research in Millennium Institute for Care Research in Chile. I'm also one of the co-chairs of an early middle career researchers initiative. And I'm working a lot with mixed method, personal networks, and social gerontology and gender stuff. But something that I would like to highlight in here is that actually through the experience of being helping with women in network science, I have found so many opportunities to create community, as Alice was saying. And some of them that I would like to highlight is, for example, the Wikipedia editathon that we have in some point where we were able to create some pages for some researchers in Wikipedia and working together actually through that. We also have been organizing social gatherings in different conferences, for example, Ensemble and the European one. The co-organization of the Women in Network Science seminars has been a great opportunity to meeting other people who are not only working in my same discipline, because something that we are actually encouraging is actually having many different researchers for many different backgrounds. So that's really cool because you can always learn something from others. And also giving a lot of content, creating a lot of content, webpage content for early and middle career researchers, which is something that I would like to share with you, is that we have actually a GitHub repository which is also linked in the webpage, and you can find in there. And we have a WiNS starting kit. So if you know someone who is just starting with networks and doesn't have any idea where to start, please give them this link. Like they are going to be very grateful, probably. And then we also have the Postgrad repository with a lot of different resources that we found. And if any of you have more resources that we could actually add in there, please let us know. So I would like to give Echo the opportunity to present herself. She is also another of the coordinators of this seminar.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Francisca and also Alice for the great introduction. I actually learned a lot of things, like all the great things WiNS have been doing. So just a little bit about myself. I'm currently a PhD student at University of Bonn in Germany. My research is mainly focusing on mathematical neuroscience. So a lot of dealing with protein networks and regulating dynamics. So in my free time, as you can see here, I like to do cycling, photography, and also enjoy very much the time in the mountains. So the two things I mainly got involved in at WiNS, first I actually reached out to Alice. I think it was back in 2022. But then I started like helping out with Alice and Francisca with the seminar, and I have been learning a lot, not just from the seminars, but also organizing those things with them, because they're really amazing organizers and I really learned a lot. So by the time we had this year, Alice and I suddenly had an idea, is we have been having so many great connections within the WiNS Society. So why not start a actual mentorship program to have a like more structured program to basically connect everything together, connect everybody more formally together to promote their mentoring relationship. So just a plug, we're going to continue the mentorship program next year as well. So next year we're gonna open up the application on February 1st. So you will definitely get the more information, but just want to let you keep that in mind. And if you want to become a mentor or a mentee, you're very welcome to apply next year. So I just want to give it like a small introduction of like how the mentorship program would actually work. So if you go to the next slide, and also I want to thank a bunch of people and talk a little bit about how the mentorship program worked this year, and then how maybe you have some advice of regarding how next year it can be. So this program, I'm sorry, just if you go back one slide, yeah, I just want to thank thanks to all the people, all 4 people, Alice, Marie, and Francisca and Depende. They really helped me a lot with organizing this program, and it wouldn't have happened without them. So if you go to the next slide, in this year we basically had actually a lot of meetings. We had initialization event, and then we had basically one follow-up meeting already happened, and then we're going to have another one coming up actually very soon. And basically throughout from April all the way until September or even October, every pair can basically just meet together, and we also have some newsletter to basically guide them, and if anybody has any tips, they can also give us. So if you go to the next slide, since we're a network science group, I figured it would be very fun to have a network of how each people are connected together. So those are the groups of each. So each solid line is basically the mentor versus mentee relationship. The top to bottom is basically the general, I don't want to use the word hierarchy, but it's generally like you go from professor and then postdoc and then PhD student to master or even undergraduate. So that's how you can go from top to bottom for each sub-network. And of course, there's a bigger network within this is everybody's of course connected. I think during the if you go to the next slide, during the first Embark meeting and also the just checkup meeting, like everybody had a lot of fun to just talk with each other and discuss whatever they are interested in. So if you go to the next slide, so a lot of things you could and you can work on next year is a lot of like basically everything you want to talk about and also get advice on. And it can be scientific, can be something really personal, or if you have any troubles like during your involvement with the department and stuff, like those sort of things you can also talk about. So I just want to say again, like thanks to all the people who are involved in this program, and we really look forward to having this program next year as well, and hopefully to bring you more fun things. So with that, I want to hand over to Elena. I think you have to go one more. Yeah, I want.
Okay, thanks. So I'm Elena. Hello, everyone. I'm doing my PhD at Utrecht University in the Netherlands, and I do research on network science applied to social systems. I saw that someone proposed about a virtual walk. I'm up for cycling, but yeah, it's a nice idea. And so I'm involved in organizing these seminars. This is the first event, and then there will be others every week this time. And yeah, if you can go to the next slide. So Alice talked about the collaborathon before. She was one of the organizers, and I was one of the participants. I see other participants here. Nice to see you again. So from the participant perspective, it was very nice, really, because so briefly, it was 1 week in Northeastern, and we had many tutorials about different things, machine learning, network visualization, etc. And we also worked on projects. And I think it was a very nice environment where to work with and also meet new people, especially women, doing the same thing. So I really liked it. And from that moment, I started to be involved in women in network science, and I hope it will happen again, or maybe some other similar activities will happen. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So one question that a lot of people ask us is, how do I join? And we already leave in the chat the website link, and you can go directly to this part where you can actually sign up for all the emails and all the activities that are happening. So, oh, sorry. So what about these Women in Network seminars? So this is the lineup. We have an amazing lineup of speakers for this semester. And we have many of them actually are going to be presenting from next week. So hopefully we are going to be able to see a lot of you from next Monday. All of them are going to be in the same time. We always say the time in Eastern time, because in that way, because in this semester we are changing time zone sometimes in some countries. So it would be great if you can just set up that time in your calendars, and in that way we are not all messed up with that. And something that is very cool is that, for example, if you see Marta Sales Pardo, you can see that the title of her presentation is Pathways in Network Science, and that is a different kind of session in which we are actually asking people who can share their experience through using network science. So the whole idea is to have to know the experience of other women in this kind of community. And we have Marta in that kind of format, Iota, and Brea Perry. So the whole thing is going to be a lot of presentations. I'm really looking forward to all of them. And we would like to just leave you the invite to everyone in here. If you can just add these dates to your calendars, that would be great. So as now, we would like to actually hear from you. I know I see a lot of people here, and it would be great to have any suggestions, ideas from you, or even questions, or any kind of thing that you would like to collaborate and think together. So I'm going to stop recording right now, but the idea is to have a nice conversation now. So thank you everyone for being here.